Well, any way you look at it, it's a win, Jeff. But I still can't get a gauge on this team. I mean, they do enough to lose a game, and yet they find a way to win the game.
I mean, for the second straight week, they had almost 500 offensive yards and got a really good defensive effort. You take any team that usually gets that, and not only are they 2-0, but they have their fans thinking that you can just bookmark them for the Super Bowl right now. This team, you always take that step back and say, man, 8 turnovers after 2 games. It's discouraging that that's happening, but I think you can be more encouraged by this kind of win than last week's.
I think also when you look at this defense, the defense has not only played outstanding, but they're playing with such great speed right now.
I tell you, Michael Kendricks, the rookie linebacker, and Brandon Boykin, the rookie cornerback who plays the slot, they are light years ahead of rookies that I can ever remember seeing. I mean, they are asked to do a whole lot. They're pretty much in nickel the entire game, a lot of the game, and both those guys are covering tight ends, covering slot receivers like Anquan Bolden, and they're breaking up passes. I think that they are the key so far in why this defense has really come together. Their other guys are playing well. Nate Allen is playing well, Nnamdi's playing well, the D-line, but those two guys, those are areas that other teams can exploit, and they're really not able to do it. And you saw on that last drive there, Brandon Boykin leaks so high up into the air to break up that pass.
Yeah.
I thought it was DRC at first. I was amazed when I saw that it was Brandon Boykin.
You know, the good thing about it also when you talk about the secondary play is that everybody's covering well, especially in man-to-man coverage.
This is something we were going to see. How do they adjust to do this? How do they play this press coverage? They should be good at it, but there was so much disarray last year. Well, they're really getting good jams of scrimmage. You saw Joe Flacco hitch once, hitch twice, hitch 3 times. He only completed 8 passes in the second half. He did not have open receivers. That leads to a good pass rush. That leads to overthrown passes and incompletions.
And speaking of passers, let's go back to Michael Vick because I have genuine concerns about Michael Vick. Again, the accuracy at times, the decision making, and for a guy who's been in the league as long as he has, you can't attribute it to lack of reps in the preseason. Now, this is just flat out mistakes in a lot of cases.
It is. He threw 2 interceptions today. One of them went off Brent Selleck's fingertips. You can absolve him a little bit. The first interception was not necessarily throwing across his body because he's left-handed, but it's still an ill-advised throw as he's flushed to the right. He's got to take that back. He knows it. He says he knows it, but the concern is that sometimes he goes out in the field and doesn't do it. However, I still think he played a better game, made better decisions than the season opener, and then at the end, you can't knock the guy. 2 game-winning drives in the fourth quarter. For a long time, we went around here without seeing that. So you take some positives even with the negatives.
And you look at the offensive line, boy, they're in a little bit of a very delicate situation now. You lost Dunlap. He was able to walk off. But, you know, from what I'm hearing now, it's possible they've lost Kelsey for the season, which means other guys, again, are going to have to step up and get the job done now.
Yeah, and that would be a tremendous loss. You're talking about a guy who just from his rookie year last year started every single game, really became what Howard Mudd looks for out of his center, directs the traffic out there. Dallas Reynolds had never played a snap before he got in today. This will be something we're really going to have to keep our eye on. And also Demetrius Bell. I talked to him after the game, and he said, hey, I know I've been making strides. I was glad. Just the fact that I was active showed you how I've come along. And if he has to play left tackle again, I think you now feel a little bit more confident than you were going into today.